If you've ever encountered a hornet up close, you'll remember this. It doesn't look like a wasp, it doesn't look like a bee, it's bigger, it's louder, and it flies in a way that makes you want to take a step back, even if you're actually an adult and aren't afraid of insects. I first saw a hornet really close, about 15 years ago, at my dacha. It flew into the room through an open window, hit the glass, landed on the windowsill, lay there for a while, got up, and then took off again. I stood 2 meters away and didn't move, not out of heroism, but simply understood that any sudden movement right now was a bad idea. So today we'll talk about hornets, what they're good for, whether they really kill people, and what actually happens when this insect is near you. Let's start with the terminology, because it's quite confusing. In Russian, hornets are large public swarms. The most common hornet in our area is the Vespa crabras. This is the insect you've most likely seen, if you've seen it at all. A worker hornet is about 2 to 3 centimeters long, and a queen hornet is up to 3 centimeters. It's a massive brownish-yellow hornet with a distinctive low buzz. It's easy to distinguish it from a wasp. The wasp is a slender insect, about 1.5 centimeters long, with a distinctive black and yellow pattern. The hornet is larger, darker, and heavier in flight. There are other species too. The Asian giant hornet, Vespa mandarini, is the same one that all the Western media reported on a few years ago under headlines about the killer hornet. It lives in East Asia. A worker hornet can reach up to 4 centimeters in length, and a queen hornet can reach up to 5.5 centimeters. It truly is the largest wasp in the world. In 2019, several hornets were discovered in Washington state. Panic ensued, and a program to trap them was launched. By 2022, it was formally closed. It is believed that the population was stopped before it became established, but there was a lot of noise. And then there is the Asian hornet, Vespa velutina, the one that has been spreading across Europe for 20 years. It was first discovered in France in 2004. Most likely, it was brought in with goods from China. Since then, it has spread to Spain, Portugal, Italy, Belgium, and the UK. It is smaller than the giant hornet, the size of our common hornet, and it is not particularly dangerous to humans, but for beekeeping, it is catastrophic. I will return to this later. Now the main question, why are they needed? The hornet is a predator. Adults, however, feed mainly on sweets, nectar, tree sap, and overripe fruit. They need energy and carbohydrates, but the larvae in the nest need protein, and this protein is obtained by adult worker hornets. They hunt other insects, flies, horseflies, smaller wasps, caterpillars, grasshoppers, and, unfortunately, bees too, but mostly anything that flies or crawls and can be torn apart by their jaws. A single colony of common hornets destroys, according to various estimates, from several hundred grams to several kilograms of insects over the summer. In terms of individuals, that's tens of thousands of them. A significant portion of these insects are precisely those that people consider pests: flies, horseflies, and caterpillars of leaf-eating butterflies. If you have a colony of hornets near your house, you likely have fewer problems with flies and pests in your garden than your neighbor across the street. This sounds like a joke, but it's true. They have another function. Adult hornets gnaw the bark of young branches to get to the sap. This causes some damage to the trees, although not catastrophic, but it also causes sap to leak to the surface, which is used as food by other insects, birds, and even some mammals. In this sense, the hornet acts as a feeder for many other species. And, of course, hornet larvae and the hornets themselves provide food for the birds. And the hornets are a separate species of predatory bird that specialize in destroying wasp and hornet nests. They literally dig nests out of the ground or tear them from trees, suffering little from stings thanks to the dense plumage on their heads. So in the ecosystem, the hornet is simultaneously a predator and a pollinator, to a lesser extent than bees, but still a food source for others, and a factor in regulating the population of other insects. Remove it, and flies, horseflies, and caterpillars will emerge. The forest and onion will change. Good. But is it true that people die from them? In short, yes, it happens, but less frequently than news headlines suggest. There are 2 mechanisms of death. The first is anaphylactic shock. This is an acute, allergic reaction to the venom. In people with allergies to the venom of wing membranes, and this makes up approximately 1% of 5% of the population. A single sting can cause fatal swelling of the respiratory tract, a drop in blood pressure, and cardiac arrest within minutes. Without epinephrine, the outcome is often fatal. And what's important here is that the amount of venom ingested doesn't matter. What matters is that the body reacts inappropriately to the venom. One sting is enough. This is why most deaths from wasp and hornet stings in Europe and Russia are caused by anaphylaxis. And this is why people who know they have allergies carry adrenaline auto-injectors. If you have a history of severe reactions to stings in your family, it's worth visiting an allergist and getting it checked out. This isn't paranoia, it's a sensible measure. The second mechanism is a massive attack. If a person receives not just one sting, but say 30, 50, or 100, the toxic effects of the venom begin. Hornet venom contains several active components: mastoperins, which destroy cell membranes, phospholipases, hyaluronidase, serotonin, histamine, and acetylcholine. For a healthy, non-allergic person, one sting causes pain, swelling, and redness, which resolves within a day or two. 10 stings are already severe, but manageable. 100 can lead to multiple organ failure, kidney damage, red blood cell hemolysis, and liver damage. This is precisely how people die in cases of massive swarm attacks. And here we return to the Asian giant hornet. In Japan, according to various sources, between 30 and 50 people die from its stings per year. That's not much for a country with a population of 120 million, but it's more than all other venomous animals in Japan combined. The sting from this species is no more severe than that of our common hornet. In some ways, it's even weaker, but there's more of it in a single bite. The sting is longer, and most importantly, this species often attacks in a swarm if its nest is disturbed. European and Russian statistics show only a few deaths from hornet stings per year. By comparison, several thousand people die in road accidents in Russia in the same year. The numbers are incomparable. A hornet is far from the greatest danger you'll face when leaving your home. But those are statistics. And then there's behavior. And behavior deserves a separate discussion, because there are many myths surrounding it. Hornets are not aggressive in nature. They don't seek out people to attack. Outside the nest, it's usually busy with its own business, hunting, foraging for sap, transporting prey, and simply ignores people. If a hornet lands on you, it will likely rest and fly away. If you're standing near a blossoming linden tree buzzing with dozens of hornets, they won't bother you because you're of no interest to them. I've stood in such situations many times, and nothing happened. An attack begins when the hornet perceives a threat to the nest. The common hornet's defense radius is several meters, while the Asian giant hornet's is up to 5 to 8 meters. If you accidentally approach the nest, a sentinel hornet will be the first to show you're not welcome. It will fly out and begin circling around you, sometimes hitting your head. This is a warning. At this point, you should slowly, without any sudden movements, move back in the direction you came from. Don't wave your arms, don't run, and don't clap. Because if the first hornet releases an alarm pheromone, and it will if you crush it, hit it, or try to swat it, all the others will be attracted by the pheromone. Hornets' alarm pheromones are very persistent. If you're hit by one and try to squash it, the scent will linger on your clothes, skin, and hair. And the next hornets will be aiming for the same spot, so don't squash it and just leave. There's another unpleasant detail. Hornets, unlike honeybees, can sting multiple times. A bee's stinger is barbed. It stays in the skin, and, when pulled out, tears the bee itself. That's why one bee stings once and dies. A hornet's stinger is smooth. It pulls it out and stings again. And another hornet can inflict a dozen stings in a few seconds. And the last thing I want to mention, because it's rarely talked about, is bees. The Asian hornet, also known as the pavlutina, is a specialized hunter of honeybees. It hovers at the entrance to a hive and snatches bees in flight. A single hornet can kill several dozen bees in a day. A couple dozen hornets can completely devastate a hive in a few hours. The European honeybee is evolutionarily unprepared for such an attack. Its ancestors never encountered this hornet. But the Japanese honeybee is, and its response is one of the most unusual defensive behaviors in the insect world. When a scout hornet approaches, hundreds of bees form a dense ball around it, literally enveloping it from all sides, and then begin to vibrate their pectoral muscles in unison. The temperature inside this ball rises to 46 to 47 degrees Celsius. The bees can withstand this. The hornet cannot. Its thermal limit is about 45 degrees Celsius. It dies from overheating inside a living sphere of bees. A few minutes, and that's it. This is called thermal protection. It was first described in detail by Japanese entomologists in the late 1990s. And when I read this, I thought again about how complex life is that goes on around us, on a level we usually don't even look at. The hornet is not evil. It didn't come into this world to sting people. It has its own role, and it's generally beneficial to everything else. Keep a respectful distance, avoid sudden movements, know where their nest is, and you will live a long and peaceful life with hornets. And if you have allergies, just be aware of it and have the necessary supplies with you. That's all for now. If you find these videos useful, please subscribe. It helps the channel grow.